Welcome to this episode of Living the Music, where we uncover hidden lessons in classic songs. Today we're going to just briefly look at a wonderful track from this 1992 classic by R.E.M, Automatic for the People. The song is Everybody Hurts. Everybody Hurts. We've heard it. You've probably seen the video at some point. This is quintessential R.E.M. I suppose you could say it's one of their more direct songs. Michael Stipe, of course, is a tremendous lyricist, and he can sometimes be quite opaque. But here he seems to be laying it out fairly directly for all of us. And it's one of those songs that's sort of like a put your arm around you type of a song, and sort of rallying to someone's in need and saying, I'm here for you. And the point is well taken, that everybody does hurt. And as he says right from the get-go, when your day is long and the night is yours alone, when you're sure you've had enough of this life, well, hang on. Don't let yourself go, because everybody cries, everybody hurts sometimes. The words go on in a similar vein, but I thought it would be worth our time to take just a couple of minutes here and remind ourselves of this important fact of life. We all get it, we all know it, but like a lot of things that we get and know, we can forget it, and it can kind of recede into the background, and we can become overwhelmed by fear, by frustration, by annoyance, by anger, and we can sort of come to a point where we don't allow ourselves to hurt, and we forget that other people are hurting. So starting with ourselves, I can speak for myself and say that I've realized over the course of my life that one of my patterns is to try to push away or stifle negative emotions. This is probably fairly common. And it's just one of those survival patterns that I learned along the way. And to me, when a negative emotion would come in, that would almost immediately be labeled as not good, not worth paying attention to, certainly not worth indulging in. Let's move on. Let's rally. Let's rise above it and, move on. And while that has its virtues, especially if you're in a stressful situation and something needs to be handled, sure, you got to put your pain to the side. But beyond that, I have come to see that it's really not a very healthy strategy for me. And I've learned, or I'm still learning, that when those negative emotions, those hurtful feelings come in, it's actually much better to let myself experience them, to just kind of give them space. And as my coach says to me, give love and affection to your feelings. And again, that's something that I'm still looking to master, or kind of make it an automatic practice. But I do see the benefit of it, and when I do make that a priority, it does seem to free me up. And it's one of those things, right? It's like, how can you be freeing yourself up when you're really giving that space to feel those hurtful feelings? Well, as you can imagine, it's because by experiencing them, by being with them, then they can let you be, they can kind of flush themselves, and then you can move on. And sometimes what I've noticed is that when these feelings are associated with my relationship with someone else, I may share that with them, like, what you said or what you did, my feelings are hurt. That's not necessarily to like blame them. And I've learned that it's a lot better to share what I'm feeling rather than try to condemn them from some kind of making wrong sort of place. So certainly in the case of yourself, I think that's very valuable to begin with compassion for yourself. If you don't have compassion for yourself, it's probably going to be difficult to extend it outward. Now, with that, where does it come in for other people? Well, certainly with our friends and loved ones, we want to keep this, bear this in mind, that everybody hurts, because, just like us, they may put up a front, they may put on a happy face, they may pretend everything's okay all the time. And as a friend and a loved one, it may be our, if not our responsibility, it could be our opportunity to let them know that, look, I understand if you're not ready to share, but when and if you are ready, I'm here for it. And you don't have to be super person for me, Superman, Superwoman. You can just be whatever you are. And if that means at this moment you're hurting, then let me just be with you and empathize with you and give you compassion. But even beyond our friends and loved ones, even for strangers, even for people who seem like our enemies, I also think it's beneficial to keep in mind what this song is getting at. They're hurting too. And while that's not to, whitewash, evil actions or terribly misguided actions, and certainly there's a legal price and perhaps a moral price for all of us to pay for those kind of things. But at the same time, it may be worth our while to remember that it's not so simple an explanation as, well, that's a bad person, that they're completely wrong. Maybe some of what led to that particular action was their own pain, their own internal suffering. Again, that doesn't condone necessarily what they did, or sometimes I suppose it's what they didn't do. But while not condoning it, it can help us understand it. And when we're projecting resentment, what are we really accomplishing? Does it really affect that other person? I have my doubts. As you may have heard, resentment can be like taking poison, expecting someone else to die. Not a very efficient way of getting back at somebody, so to speak. What's really the benefit of getting back anyway, even if you could? I just leave that hanging there as a question. So if we see through the perils of resentment, then we're left with the other side, which is compassion. And compassion, I believe, comes from Latin. I'm not an expert, but the root of passion is basically suffering, and COM is like with, and so it's the idea of suffering with someone. And when you recognize that person's probably hurting, everyone hurts, you're able to have compassion, and you can extend it, as I say, friends and loved ones, beyond that to strangers, beyond that even to so-called enemies. And in a sense, you could have a consciousness of extending that to all humanity. I know it's pretty grandiose, pretty big stuff, but at least that sits there as a possibility for us to aspire towards. So thank you once again to Michael Stipe and the boys for reminding us of this very important idea and ideal of compassion for ourselves, each other, and all of us. And I am thankful for you being here watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. I would love for you to give a like for this video, scribble in a comment or two, And I would love for you to become a subscriber to my channel. It's completely free. It takes you 2 seconds to push that button, and you'll be all aboard. And hopefully you'll be able to enjoy many more breakdowns of classic songs like this one. All right. Thanks for being here. Until next time, take care.